Yeah.
Yes, we are live. And do you know, we are live. So often I hear it saying myself and other people as though it's something new. We are always alive. But now with this online changing things,
Yeah.
we often say, yeah, we are live. Isn't it? Yeah, and that brings me in the subject, Karina, if
Mhm.
you want to talk about it, and I believe it is
But yeah,
because you
yeah,
announced it,
we'll talk.
is that what is it? What can Earth shows us about life and death, and that is part of nature, that is part of circling, that is part of generating, creating.
Mhm.
And when we were seeing what would we talk about, and then this theme came up, life and death. I can remember that last week, as a sudden, I was doing another Facebook Live on my page, and as a sudden, this theme came across. And it was like, yeah, there are a lot of restrictions now with the Christmas parties, with the New Year's parties, with everything. And so many people are falling down nearly, are going down as, oh no, all these traditions, we can't do them. We can't be with family as though the importance of the tradition, because we need the tradition to stay alive. And
Yeah.
when we don't have this tradition, we can't breathe. We aren't alive. And especially more for this, I'm brought up in the Catholic tradition with the Christ is born, Jesus is born. And with Christmas, everything goes around this Jesus born, and he died afterwards in the name of saving people. So everything is going about the life of Jesus. But what is that? I was really sitting with that energy. What is the tradition to celebrate the life? The Christ is born. And yet, do we celebrate our lives? Couldn't it be also, perhaps this year, that we can see and choose that there is so much more to celebrate in this time? Yes, there are people dying, but that's every day of the year people dies. And every day of the year people are born. And do you know something that pings now is, I heard often say in the family, it was when there were older people and there was one of the younger pregnant, of the younger women, they said, oh, you will see, it can be that the older one will die to give life to the younger one, as saying there is a circle of life. When there is a newborn, there will be another one dying, as though it wasn't that significant as, oh, there will somebody die because there is coming a new one. No, it was more normal, as we can speak of normal, as we can speak of normal. How is it in your world? With what did you grow up about life and death?
Yeah, death was there on the one hand because there were family members that died being old. but it was also non-existence. And what I'm getting is my father being a physician. For physicians, death is basically they lost what they are here for. They lost that struggle. They lost that fight. And are they really here for to keep people alive? I'm thinking back about a monologue that Zach Bush did that touched me deeply, because he's also certified as a hospice physician. And he, as a hospice physician and, having all the knowledge, he pulled back people and revived them. And the people then chided him and said, "Why the heck did you pull me back? I was good to go." And so really looking at what you said, that circle of life, there is the birth, that transition into this life, and then death is the transition out of this life. Why is death as a sudden so bad, when it is in a way exactly a birth into another space?
Do you know, there was an energy when you were speaking about the physician and that I could perceive there an energy of failure. And could it be that that is already seen as failure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, on the one hand, we talk about we're not living forever. We have that wishful thinking to be immortal, but do we truly want to live forever?
Yeah, Karina, but when that is equal failing, then we aren't going to start to live, because when we start to live, then we are going towards our failure position.
Got you. Yeah, I can absolutely see that. And on the other hand, to some extent, I worked as a hospice volunteer, and I have no point of view about death. Death is, for me, as much a transition as birth is.
Yes.
And if I look back at history, I'm not quite sure at what point the attitude towards death changed, because death was part of life. People were so connected to the earth, they saw this as the cycle, that you are born spring, and then there is the winter, there's death. And it was okay, it was normal. When did that change? And I have to say, even though we may consider death as a failure, we had a way more natural attitude towards death, because like last year, when we had the flu and somebody died of the flu, yes, it was sad, and there was all the grieving and all of that, but there was never that being forced upon you that you are responsible for the life of somebody else by wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Where did
So
that
true.
sudden fear of death come from? Why is the death of COVID differently valued than the death of influenza?
And who is impelling the fear of death of COVID on us?
Yep.
Because now it's not only I'm afraid of the death. No, I am afraid of the death of COVID, because they impelled also that it is really an ugly death. It's suffering. It's ugly. It's something you don't want. It's something you have to be afraid of.
And a death by influenza with pneumonia or any of the other things is not ugly.
That's Karina. That is
Yeah.
something that looks like a lot of people forget. It's only the indoctrination
Mhm.
nearly that's
Yeah.
happening. And something, because you were questioning when did it change? And it is, as I can perceive, for many, many years,
Yeah.
perhaps lifetimes, it changed already. And I'm not sure how those people or where it is, but I can remember that I saw a documentary about celebrating death, celebrating the deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And that made an impact on me when I saw it, and it made sense.
Yeah.
While they celebrate and honor, not of not in honoring of we can't forget them and we have to make them really significant, but the honoring that is the space of
Life.
something new. Yeah, life and something new. And does earth the same? Where things die, it is a contribution for what
Mhm.
can be generated there and show up as something new, as something different.
Yeah. I think the in the way I look at the earth doesn't make birth or death significant. It's just part of the cycle. And I recently came across several people posted the same thing that the elephants went to the house of somebody who rescued them in Africa, and on the day he died, and then exactly a year later. Now, first of all, animals are aware of energy, which most humans are not aware of energy. And what, let me backtrack a moment. What was stated in the article is that they were grieving the person's death, and they are grieving their own species if somebody in their own species dies. But is that a human overlay over something that the elephants actually celebrated the life of that person, that they celebrated the life and celebrating, we see in celebrating the big party and all of that, but
Yeah.
what if celebrating is actually the fact of honoring,
Mm.
of acknowledging what that person, what that animal has accomplished, what it has done, how it has contributed, or in any which way, both the person as the animal. What if we have a really unique way that is somewhat skewed?
Yeah.
And for me, it's also, if I cannot acknowledge a life lived well, and if I'm afraid of death, am I just alive or am I living?
And yeah, this, as we say, we started, I'm alive. We are alive.
Mm-hmm.
But are we really living our life?
Yeah.
Or are we, be lived by all those judgments and conclusions and definitions and whatever. And yes, and I'm gonna pull it a little bit further.
Mhm.
Stop me if we go too far. But I became aware also it was something really smacking me nearly in the face. And it is a capacity I have is talking with entities and being present and entities as the energy, because everything is energy. And
Mhm.
we have a body and they don't have a
Yeah.
body at that time. But it opened me also like, wow, what is that really? The fear of that, because we are infinite. So we never die. It is such a joy, this communication with those energies. And there is no difference. So why would I be afraid of that, knowing that there will be someone else who can communicate with me also, because I'm doing it at that time. So there
Yeah.
is no, yeah, it brought me into another aspect of that. And knowing that, I can say, Karina, really, it is brutal honest with myself. There is still, there is still a little resistance. I don't want to
Mhm.
call it a fear, but a little resistance to die, not willing to die,
And
whatever. And yeah, where this came from was with the vaccines. They will come about COVID, etc., etc. It was a, no way. I don't
Mhm.
want it, but there I could catch the resistance
Mhm.
saying this no way from where it comes. It's not
Mhm.
from, yeah, it is really from that resistance. What if this is required? That I am willing, that I'm willing go and leave my body, die
Mhm.
for consciousness, for the expansion of consciousness on earth. Am I willing to do this? And it was with that willingness, because it is, it,
Yeah.
it's not a lying and agreeing. It's not changing my choice to get a vaccine or not, but it's that willingness that gives me the space of coming out of
Yeah.
separation.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. And first of all, uh, I think it was Albert Einstein who said that energy never dies, and we're
Mm,
energetic being. And how far is that awareness that used to be the case? They wouldn't have called it energy, but we built that whole thing around how to remember and how to almost remember them on their day of death, and how for beginning November, you, at least in Europe, you go to the grave, you decorate the grave, and there is this whole celebration, ritual, whatever around it. And the one thing that I am keenly aware of, and also probably based on my own life experiences, is how much do rituals that we repeat year after year after year actually keep us on our autopilot,
yeah,
because
yeah,
we go unconscious around it. It's there is no more. You talked about Christmas, but are we truly celebrating the birth of Christ? Or are we going into the buying frenzy if I'm feeling guilty about what gifts and what were not the right gifts and, name it, has crept up during Christmas?
That's Karina. It's with the oldest generation, they will celebrate this birth. But 90% perhaps it is tradition, not even tradition. It is what we do.
Yeah.
We put the tree up, we go shop, 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 because we have to give presents.
And the more,
And
the better.
now that, and I can't give a lesser one than that one, or a smaller one than that one. And there, it's all not only an automatic pilot, but so much contraction,
Yes.
so much of everything. There is fear, there is anger, there is sadness, there is everything is there mixed because of Christmas. And now, for me, it is we have this freedom of not we don't have to go with these traditions because we can't gather. We
And
can't come together.
it
So
is
what a freedom is that?
it is a possibility to create different traditions, and it's a possibility to throw the word tradition out and choose every single year, how do I want to
Yeah,
be during that time? Who do
yeah,
I want to be? Where do I want to be? And so there is a new choice every single year. What if that would be possible?
yeah.
And
And
I'm also keenly aware saying that because that just popped for me, then I'm not in control. Because tradition allows me to control things because that is how you do it step by step.
allows you to judge the hell out of you.
How well do
Yeah,
you follow tradition? Yes.
yeah. It's control, it's judgment. And in the summer here also, I saw it. Pain people had about and the judgment because there are a lot of traditional acts or yeah, several things, too much, but not one could go on because it's gathering people together, and it
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. And it
Yeah.
was also, oh, and now the traditions, and they were already less popular with the younger ones, and it was a shame that they don't honor the traditions and that they don't go with the traditions, and they, yeah, you know what it is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this year there weren't any, and it
Mm-hmm.
was in the start of the season. It was like sadness, a really a big sadness in the
Mm-hmm.
world here, in their worlds. And up the end of the summer, no one spoke more about it because it was already normal that the traditional parties, the traditional acts, or whatever it was, couldn't go.
Mm-hmm.
And with traditions, when they say it, oh, these young people, they don't honor us and they don't respect the culture and they don't this, don't this, don't this. But traditions, aren't they also in life to keep everything in place?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go anywhere. There isn't an evolution, there isn't an expansion.
That is
Possible.
definitely, in no matter which way and which part of
Mm.
life you look at, there is that attempt to control everything, to be
Yeah.
in control of your life. And is being in control of my life, truly allowing me to be alive, to
My
have
point of view
that
is no.
joy, that exuberant joy, to do that unexpected thing, just because I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. And also when you see in nature, when there is a tree near another tree dying, the one that is living, it doesn't change. It doesn't stop living. It doesn't go down. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in allowance. That's what's happening there. But even I'm aware of what's happening there, I still contribute to that tree in whatever way it is, and I don't stop to shine. Even when there is another tree that wants to go higher than me and come over me, it doesn't change because I am who I am, said that one tree, and it goes with whatever it wants and chooses to go. There is, yeah, it's so amazing to see really and receive the allowance, the space of allowance,
Yeah.
honoring.
And nature has an incredible space of allowance.
Yeah.
And also, at the same time, as you mentioned, an incredible space of contribution. It is willing, and contribution is not me donating money that somebody can have this, that, or the other. Contribution is, there is a back and forth. It's almost like the infinity sign. It's simultaneous.
Yeah.
It's an energy exchange that has nothing to do with me gifting money / energy to somebody who has no money / no energy.
Yeah.
Where is, where are we missing this back and forth? And
Yeah.
is that part of being alive? Or
Yeah.
is that part of living?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If
The
I'm alive,
contribution. Yeah.
how much can I do this dance of back and forth and
Yeah.
gifting and receiving? If I'm living, it's part of the whole thing.
Yeah. And that gift and receiving is also with the sun, for example. The sun, it shines.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gift. And
Yep.
it receives everything around in the universe, whatever it is.
Yep.
And it doesn't stop when I'm not receiving the sun doesn't say,
Doesn't stop
oh,
shining.
this is my gift.
Yeah.
Receive it. We're done.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And
stop me.
on the other hand, I remember one day where I was really sad because of something that had happened, and I could sit there and the sun shone into my face, and I was willing to receive the sunshine and just open up to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it shifted my energy.
Yeah.
That
That does remember me when, I told already that I was really afraid of every animal. And when I met my partner, he had a dog. So the dog went to live with us. It died a few years already, but I can remember there was something up also in my world with my children, and there was really a sadness in my world. And because she was a girl, the dog was a girl, she approximated me and she was gifting and contributing to me, talking to me. But because at that time I was still in a part of that being afraid and so occupied with my sadness that I couldn't receive her.
Yeah.
So I pulled her often away, like, it's not the time now. I don't want to play. So I interpreted it as, yeah, don't disturb me. Don't bother me. Don't do this.
Yeah.
And the only thing she wanted to do is contributing and shifting the energy,
Your energy. Yeah.
shifting really, and opened me up for, yeah, the happiness that also still was in my world, because I am happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and she didn't stop until I got it, and it was a few hours, I can tell you. So the allowance she had, me pushing her away, and the persistence, it's not the persistence of controlling, but from the knowing that what she had to offer, what she had to gift, what she had to contribute was something that
That was needed.
could
Yeah.
change everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where and how often do we reject the contribution of nature in every
Yeah.
form?
Yeah.
Wow.
And also the follow-up question that I want to put to that is, how much are we looking at everything through our lenses of interpretation of how things are supposed to be, instead of really being present with what is and perceiving what is instead of interpreting it?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what it
And is
means.
that,
This is, you know,
yeah, isn't that also the part? I think it was Gary, I hear him say, Gary Douglas of Access Consciousness, that says, you can't hear what doesn't match your judgments and your
yeah,
definitions.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah,
So you can't receive also what doesn't match.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
So how
And
much?
then we are already half an hour.
Yeah. So how much are we willing to choose more?
I am.
Me too. And I
So,
know, even despite saying I'm choosing more, I know I can even choose more and
yeah,
more and more. There is no end point as such to
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. True story. And choosing that more and more and more comes from expanding,
Mhm.
being more, receiving more,
Yep.
making your space so expanded that the invitation becomes more yummy, 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 yummy for others to choose also. It's
Yeah.
not more of give me, give me,
Not
give me,
more,
give me,
more
and I collect,
gathering. Yeah.
but more of more and more and more and more and more expanding, and more and more of you. That is the
Yeah.
contribution and the invitation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much of us dies in expansion, becoming more of us? So how much is required that we let die of us, artificial things, to get more
Even not
life?
yeah, okay, artificial things. I mean, I would even say, how much are we willing to let die of all the definitions and belief systems that we have taken on?
Yeah, for me that was the energy, but yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
No,
It is.
yeah.
It is. It is. It
So
is. Yeah.
where are we choosing to go? And I think it's a great question to sit with right now. More looking at, when I say right now, more looking at the fact that we are at the end of a calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do this year? how did I live this year? How expansive what was I this year? And am I only willing to stay in the parameters that I've lived this year from? Or am I willing to expand, even if it's just a bit more?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and to experience that. And then maybe the following year, I will expand a little bit more. I will do some more during the year. But to become more and more living instead of just being alive.
Yeah.
So, what is possible?
Beautiful.
Invitation right
Beautiful.
now. Thank you for the conversation.
Yes. Yes. Thank
And
you. Thank you. And we will see each other next week.
we'll see each other next week. Christmas is falling. The holidays are falling really well this year. So we have Tuesdays available to have the conversations and not say, I think
Yeah.
I'm going to skip it because it's a holiday.
Yeah. And perhaps we can sing the jingle bells.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. I will reflect on that.
I'm not sure I want to do this to people.
Oh, you can say, I never did it, so I can do this.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
We see each other
Take
next
care.
week. Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.